Welcome to the complete animation of Francis, with the stage name of Little Foxy from the 2021 movie Rock Dog 2. If you remember from my review of the first Rock Dog, that you can find in my complete animation of Dharma, you'll remember that I quite enjoyed that movie. And there's also a lot to enjoy in this sequel. Yeah, my basic synopsis of the first movie is that, maybe not synopsis, but summary of my thoughts, is that the movie had some really good parts and then a bunch of parts that didn't really resonate with me, particularly the bits in Snow Mountain and the whole conflict with Linux and his wolves. I think that those parts of that movie were not where it was strongest. The best parts were just Bodhi being a fish out of water, being a guy with a bunch of raw talent and a lot of spirit, going to the big city to try to become a better musician and meet his idol, basically. And that whole storyline was the best part of that movie. This sequel, its story feels kind of fitting, but at the same time it falls into a bunch of the traps that sequels fall into that I think are just lazy writing. And the biggest sin that this movie commits is being a sequel where the friendships that were made in the original movie are being called into question. It's just so unsatisfying to watch friends that are already friends stop being friends for a bit and then becoming friends again. It's hard to make that work. And this movie doesn't make it work. And so the whole Bodhi trying to become too much of a rock star and then his two bandmates becoming bitter about that, that it's unsatisfying. Now, Bodhi's relationship with Francis is actually kind of satisfying. It's a little strange what they do, especially this whole workout section. Although I will say this workout section has some pretty good animation. I think that the good animators might have spent a little too much time reviewing and tweaking the stuff here, and too little time making sure that the rest of the movie had better quality animation. And speaking of animation, the first movie from 2016 was a theatrical release. And as such, it had a much bigger budget, and it shows. The lighting in the first movie felt a lot more satisfying. And the first movie I think was basically completely animated. This movie I think is a pretty good hybrid, but still a hybrid of motion capture and animation. And motion capture isn't inherently bad, but I will still always say that hand-keyed animation is always better than motion capture. But motion capture is a tool to get stuff done at a reasonable budget. It's a lot easier to have one actor act out the same scene 50 times and then you just pick the one that you like the most out of that than it is to have animators spend weeks making a 10-second clip move. So motion capture is a tool, and this movie uses it. Also, let's talk about music. this movie has basically two kinds of music. It has the music that's trying to be rock music that Bodhi and his band plays, and then there's stuff that is deliberately just modern pop music with too much auto-tune. And you know what? I think that the pop music with too much auto-tune is more appealing than the stuff that's trying to be rock and roll. And I think that's telling about the difficulty of making those two genres work. And yeah, I'll just go out and say it. Good rock is harder to make than good auto-tune pop. Because, yeah, if you remember the first movie, it had basically one killer song, and that was Glorious. It was basically the headline song of the entire show. And I unironically think it's a really good song. Like, it's on my Spotify playlist, and I listen to it whenever it comes on. I think it's good. This movie, I don't think it has any songs that I would consider good, but it does have songs that I think are acceptable. And basically the acceptable ones are the auto-tune pop ones. But yeah, let's talk about Frances for a bit. She's an interesting character. For one thing, she is hecka strong. Like, she's benching more than 200 pounds during the workout section. And she's also kind of interesting that she's a good character, but she's kind of stuck in the whole pop star thing. But the movie does a good job of showing why that is and how it really is an act. It's an act that she puts on because it is a numbers game and you gotta do what sells. So, yeah, I think, but then whenever she actually interacts with any characters, she's nice. So, yeah. I do think that the coloring above her eyes, I don't know enough about makeup to know if it's eyeshadow or eyeliner. I don't know. But, like, I feel like that's a bit much, especially when they're working out. Like, who works out with makeup on? But I also think that there was a big missed opportunity with actually having her and Dharma interact. Because it's like they're just two independent female characters that basically never meet. Yeah, I would much rather have seen Lil Foxy and Dharma becoming friends than the whole friendship between Dharma and Bodhi deteriorating. Also, I have to mention that Dharma in this sequel is voiced by Ashley Ball, who famously is the voice actress for Applejack and Rainbow Dash. And Lil Foxy is voiced by the voice actress who does the great and powerful Trixie. And all I could think is that these two voice actresses, back in 2014, acted in a movie about music that was so much better than this one, called Rainbow Rocks, which I unironically think is still one of the best animated movies about music. That movie has some actually good songs, and it's got a self-aware narrative where the creators knew that they were being silly, but they're like, hey, let's lean into it. Also, the texture work in this movie is actually pretty good, especially like the texture that they put on characters' noses. That's actually pretty good. And the cloth effects are pretty good, as seen by Francis's dress. But yeah, so Rock Dog 2. Not as good as the original, but it has redeeming qualities, and I'm glad that I was able to watch it. And thanks for watching this complete animation.